So here we have it. They show how it was set up back in 1883. This is what the rooms were set up like. Or wait, what time? Bedtime. Except on show nights, go to bed 7:30 every night. And if you're allowed to stay up, it's till 8 p.m. And the radiator. And I don't know if this would be from the turn of the century. And again, I'll zoom in here and I'll slowly go down and you can pause it and read it as we go along. So, here's another story, my room. They put me in a corner room in Ward C, the receiving ward. Every patient that comes to the hospital first goes to Ward C. It's an observation ward, and according to hospital gossip, the second best ward in the institution. Like this one, Ward D is light and airy, almost like a well-regulated, but not too fancy hotel. My room was small, but very clean and tidy, very much like a room in any hospital, except that the windows were barred. And this room should be about the size, 20 by 23 feet, I think. So this was the size of a room. Here's some of the books people had here. To Lizzie in Memory of Maddie. It's a Bible. Red pepper burns. There's a photo of the family. And we can touch. You're okay to touch stuff here, so that's why I'm touching. Scratching your blanket. So yeah, of course they have set up like what it would have looked like. And here we'll turn around. They have it all set up still. Of course they probably wouldn't have had waterfalls like that, but so you can see. You can look in. And this is what it would have looked like looking in. This deodorizer came from the 34 building, hung in the back stairwell, had been there since I started working in 1985, and just how things never change. Here, I'll let you guys read this. There's a deodorizer. What do you say? Letters. And this is what the bathrooms look like, I guess, back then. And that's because we're by the bathrooms now. This shows people down the hallway waiting in their wheelchairs, just sitting there. And here's an example of a wheelchair. And they were made of wood and wicker and used through the 1930s. And here's another gentleman's story. Real letters. Okay, this looks a little more modern. This looks like it's from the 70s, 80s. And then barred doors. They use barred doors. Gosh, God. And now we're coming into the area where One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Some of the stuff is still here. So we'll look at it and then we'll walk around some more. Talks about the movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Come to find out, the story is based on a real life story from someone. And this is from the diary of Dean Brooks, and he really did work here. So when they filmed him, he actually was just being himself. Here's that broom, like a broom that was used in the movie. And these were actually used, it was called a drag. And these were actually used from the early 1900s to polish ward floors. And come to find out, the story really is actually about the Native American, the Indian, not really about Murphy. And the nurse, Ratchet. For you Americans, it's a book. But for me, it's real life. I lived in that society. Communist Party was my big nurse. It's about everything I know, and I know how these people feel. Milo's Forman. And then you see him picking up, if you remember the end of the movie, which I actually bought the movie just now, he picked that up and he threw that through the window. And it's right there. So yeah, so the spots were all torn down. There is one spot that you can look out that was shown in the movie, which we'll go and do it so we can look out. And we'll match it up with the film clip. But the rest is gone. So we actually are focusing more on the true history, not just the movie here. So hydrotherapy machine, the one where the chief picks up and throws through the window. And here gives information on it. And here's the prop. And it was made true to life. Here they show the movie on an old CRT. That's pretty cool. I like old CRTs. Television. This is an actual television used in the movie. The footage you're running is of the baseball scene. You also see a panel to your right. You hear text from the novel. Pictures from local productions. Yeah, there's local productions, and someday I'm gonna go, Lord's willing. I wanna go see this. All right, guys, I'm going to be going across the street in a little bit. First, we're going to go pay our respects to the remains that are left here of the people. But Doug, who is a volunteer here, was just sharing a story because I'm going to go across the street. It now belongs to the Department of Corrections, but it was actually used in filming of the movie, and it was actually part of this institution. So let me turn this around, and then Doug can share the little bit of
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, all the lobotomies that were performed in that building, the dome building.
Okay.
So Michael Franke was the superintendent of the Department of Corrections, all the prisons in Oregon. He came here he was hired specifically to clean up the corruption in corrections.
Okay. He came from Arizona, right?
Yes, came from Arizona where he was superintendent. He walked out to his car one night after work. Somebody was hiding in the parking lot and they stabbed him and killed him. He did make it back into the building and ended up dying by his office on a desk on the floor. And so they eventually, I don't know if they call it framed or convicted some guy that was a low-level drug dealer in Salem.
Okay.
He's currently still in prison doing time for that.
Okay. And this was all, he came here just to
clean up the corruption. That's what he had been famous for in Arizona.
And so,
or maybe it might have been New Mexico, I'm not sure. It was one of those, I'm pretty sure it was Arizona, but maybe it was New Mexico.
And so he was here to just clean up the corruption where the cops, the guards,
all those bad things happening in prison.
So they were selling cell phones and
cigarettes,
all that stuff. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Doug. Thank you very much for the information.
If I end up dead, you'll know. You'll know why.
No, you won't. No, and then Doug also mentioned that when I'm over there, I'm going to be able to look down. There's the spots where you can see the underground tunnels, which we kind of saw pictures of. You don't really see it,
but that's where the tunnels are.
But that's where the tunnels are.
Mm-hmm.
You've been kind of seeing light.
Okay,
so we're going to go check that out next. Explain to me that over there is where the original graveyard was for the institution from 1883 to 1914. And then in 1914, that law passed where people had to be cremated. Now in this direction is where the cremains were found down there. So we can go down there and find it. There's a circle and stuff. And then over here is where all of the remains are. So we can end up walking over there also. So what they did is they've made this into the tennis courts. And of course there's the disc golf. But around here is where all of those canisters, which I shared and showed you guys, were originally found in this area. So, and it had been forgotten. And it was found within the last, it has to be within the last 2 decades. So it was down here where they were found, and it was turned into a recreation area. But yeah. And what Doug was saying is that they don't even know how many bodies are over there. They don't know where they are. It's going to be found out because the land was recently purchased and housing is going to be created. Currently, some doctors are searching, trying to figure out where the bodies are from 1883 to 1914, because there was people that were buried over there, because all that was found before were headstones but not the bodies. So they're still looking, and more than likely there's going to be bodies found when they tear up the ground to build the buildings. So this is the original building, and all the laughter you heard was coming from the second floor. But yeah, this is all that's left of the original. And the whole backside is modernized, and there's actually a prison that it runs up against. So like when I was coming here, I kind of got lost a little bit, and then I ended up finding the right spot. But I guess people get yelled at all the time because they end up going up to the prison by accident instead of the museum here at the hospital. You know, it's important to know history so that we won't repeat a lot of the same things. And you know, I've always loved the field I'm in and that I work in. I've told people I deserved every hit I got, especially when I was younger and I first started working in this field, working with people with disabilities, working with people with mental health issues. I was that staff who, I don't want to say I was Nurse Ratchet, but I thought I knew it all. I was young, and I realized how disrespectful I was to the people I served, and thankfully over the years I've gotten, you know, there's quite a few I was given the opportunity to see again and apologize to, and just realize how amazing and a person is a person no matter the ability. And this is something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me, and I hope this moved you the way it moved me, because it's history, and we definitely don't want it repeated. So there's cottages here where people live, and this is the memorial, and it looks like it's from 1896, so this is probably one of the original cottages. So this is where the memorial is. I don't know if we can go inside. Hopefully we can. See if this door opens. Oh, it's locked. I think there's another way around. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. So, the memorial booklets. I don't know if they have any. But in each and every single canister is an individual who lived here and died here and has remained unclaimed by family. Some people are forgotten, some of their stories are forgotten. We don't know some of the things they went through. I just want to say thank you to the ones who found this and who want to make their stories known. My gosh. Some of these look open. Some of these have... Wow, look at that. They're rusted out. Open. But there's people. This is a human being in each and every single one of them. A human being with a story, with a like and a dislike, with hopes and dreams the same as you and I. Some of these people were brought here because, yes, they were insane, but there's also others that probably just had fibromyalgia, probably just had some clinical depression and didn't deserve to be stuck in this place. I'm glad we live when we do now. And I think 30 years from now, we're probably going to look back at how things are now and be like, oh my gosh, how could we have done such a thing even then? You know? So this is Yayuna, and just from the crematorium area. Now let's go across the street and go film over there. And this is part of what was used to film the movie. And I'm told you can go to the front, so we'll see if we can get up into the front and see where stuff was filmed. Now this, I believe, is what he was talking about. So under here would be the tunnels. This is what lets the light go through. So this is part of the tunneling.
Let's go.
So this is now owned by the Department of Corrections here in Oregon. But somewhere out here on this land, somewhere, there are graves that are unmarked and nobody knows where anybody is. This is the rotunda?
Yeah, where he came in at,
Where he came in.
and it circles all the way around. It goes to the third floor.
Oh, here it is. So due to heightened awareness and heightened security, I wasn't able to get into the rotunda area. They just allowed me to kind of film it a little bit. But from Salem, Oregon, from Oregon State Hospital and Department of Corrections, this is Yayuna, thanking you for joining me. I love you. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. You know, leave me a comment below what you thought of this. And you know, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. And we're going to continue on with our adventures. Keep on journeying, right? Love you. Bye.